Hello everyone and welcome back to my channel. These are my EFL Championship predictions. I'm excited to say the least. The EFL Championship is back next week, a week today, and I am very much looking forward to it. Who will get promoted? Who will get relegated? Well, you will find out now, and there could be a few stinkers in here, let's be honest, because the Championship is a hard league to predict. But we will start off here. We will go in alphabetical order, starting with Blackburn Rovers. Now, Blackburn Rovers, this is an interesting one. I think they've got John Eustace at the helm. I can talk more about these Championship clubs rather than the League One and League Two clubs, because I know more about the Championship and I've watched the Championship in the past. So John Eustace is the gaffer. Blackburn Rovers, purely because I think they will lose Sammy Smodics. I don't know where they will find the goals from. Sammy Smodics was the top goal scorer in the Championship last season. They will lose Sammy Smodics, let's be honest. Ipswich have been interested in him. I think Blackburn Rovers will go down in... what am I having a look at? I think Blackburn Rovers will go down in 22nd place. Share your thoughts on Blackburn Rovers. Next up then, we have Bristol City. Bristol City, they have a good gaffer. Last season I sat here talking about Alex Scott, and if they kept him, that they would be in a fight for the playoffs, certainly. And I said they needed to reinvest the money if they sold him. Well, we saw them sell him, and I think they did reinvest the money quite well. They went on a good cup run, but I mean, mid-table standard Bristol City season. I've got them in 12th place. Share your thoughts on Bristol City. Next up then, we have Burnley. I mean, I don't know what to think about Burnley this season. There's been a lot of change behind the scenes, and especially with Vincent Kompany leaving. I'd be interested to know from Burnley fans, do you think you have a better squad this time you went down to the Championship, or the last time when you won the Championship? Do you think you had a better squad then or now? I still think that if you do not get Burnley promoted, if Scott Parker does not get Burnley promoted, then he would have failed. And that's why I've got Burnley in second. It's a good enough squad. You look at the overall picture of Burnley, they've got a good squad. They have lost James Trafford. They've still got James Trafford. But is he going to go to Newcastle? What I'm saying is, I think Burnley will get promoted in second place. Next up then, we have Cardiff City. Cardiff City are an interesting one to put your finger on. Last season, I would have said that they would have got relegated. And they had a good season last season under Bellew. I think it's tough. Second season, will it bite him in the arse? He did well last season, especially with the transfer embargo, but a few seasons ago, last season he had a transfer embargo, but without the transfer ban, without points deductions, they would have got relegated, basically. So I think Cardiff City are an interesting one. I've got them in and around the relegation zone purely because I don't know how their manager will do in the second season. Cardiff City 23rd for me, just surviving relegation. Next up then Coventry City. Coventry City are an interesting one, and you've got to regard them up there fighting for the playoffs. I think they've transitioned out of that team where they had Hamer and who else did they have? Gyökeres. I think they've got a new young squad. They've got Ellis Sims, who I can talk about all day long. They've got Torp, another fella at Coventry City. They've got Bidwell. Players. Let me just check. They've also got Hadji Wright. So they've got a few young players. Ben Sheaf. I can sit here and talk about quite a few Coventry City players, and they have got a good pool of talent. I think Coventry City have got to be up there, and that's why I've got them in 5th place. Next up then, and we have Derby County. Derby County are an interesting one. They've got promoted, and I suppose the main question is, how will Paul Warne do? I've seen people saying he will get the sack. Now, this prediction could come back to bite me in the arse when I look back at these predictions at the end of the season, but I've got Derby County in 8th place. For the pure fact, because they look like they are a Championship standard club. They should be a mid-table in the Championship. But you could look at it the opposite way round and say, Blackburn Rovers should be fighting for mid-table in the Championship. But things have gone wrong behind the scenes at Blackburn, and look where they are now. It's interesting. Derby County, share your thoughts. 8th place for Derby County. I'm sure many Derby County fans will snap your hand off of that. Next up, Hull City then. Hull City are an interesting one. As I always say, Hull City, they were fighting in amongst the playoffs, weren't they? But they have lost quite a few of their players. As I mentioned, Jacob Greaves, Jayden Philogene. What do I think of Hull City then? They certainly need to reinvest the money. I made these predictions at the start of the summer when Hull still had Jacob Greaves and Jayden Philogene. So my prediction, this could come back to bite me in the arse again, but my prediction is based on whether Hull City will reinvest that money into new players. I've got Hull City in 3rd place. Share your thoughts, Hull City fans. I'm sure many of you would take it at this moment in time. Next up then, Leeds United. They've got to be up there, haven't they? They have lost Crescencio Somerville to Leeds. Sorry, not to. They have lost Crescencio Somerville to West Ham United, and but they've kept Nonto. Famous last words, because we are still in the transfer window, but they've still got Nonto. They've still got some other players. Rutter, Pirou. I think Leeds United have got to be up there, and that's why I've got them in 3rd place. share your thoughts, Leeds United fans. Daniel Farke's got to hit the ground running, though. I think what cost them last season was a slow start, and Ipswich and Leicester both started really well. Share your thoughts, certainly do. Next up then, Luton Town. Luton Town relegated from the Premier League. Rob Edwards is still in charge, so don't write them off. But, as I say, last season when they went up, they were building for the Premier League. Sorry, they were building for the Championship, as if they were going to go back down, and as if they were going to go back down, or almost to put them in a better position for them to bounce back up the next time. And I think they have a better squad from a few seasons ago, the last time they were in the Championship when they won that playoff match. Luton Town, well, I suppose it's a very interesting one. I've already said my top two, so Luton can't be in my top two. I've already said my top three, actually. Luton Town, where have I got them? They've signed a few free agents, but I've got them down there in mid-table. They were a mid-table club before that. I'm going to say they're going to have a transitional season. I've got Luton in 10th place. Share your thoughts. Next up then, Middlesbrough. Yeah, they've got to be up there. They had a bit of an off-season last season. But you look, Michael Carrick, he's done a fantastic job. They've got Latte Lath, who arguably can be the top scorer. I think Middlesbrough's got to be up there. I've got Middlesbrough in 4th place. Next up then, we have Millwall. Millwall are a tricky one to put your finger on again. Obviously, I think it's Neil Harris walked through the door and kept them up. They were certainly in a relegation battle for the large majority of last season, and some alarm bells were ringing. If it wasn't for luck on their side, then they would have got relegated. Millwall, as I say, are an interesting one. Millwall are a team who you look at and you think they're a team who always fall short on playoffs. Are they a team who are transitioning to like mid-table bull? I've got Millwall in 19th. Share your thoughts. And next up, Norwich City. Again, Norwich City are an interesting one to put your finger on. And they've had a few, they've kept their good players. They've kept Sarah, they've kept Sargent. They've still got their good players, but I think Norwich might have a bit of a drop-off this season. I've got them in 7th place. Next up then, we head over to Oxford United. Now, Oxford are newly promoted. They got promoted through the playoffs. It wouldn't surprise you that the bookies have Oxford United bottom of the league, and I have them bottom of the league, purely because I don't know what to expect of them. Now, they could come in and beat a Plymouth, but I don't think so. They've lost their best player in Josh Murphy. I just don't know what to think of Oxford United. I've got Oxford in 24th place. Next up then, Plymouth Argyle. We go back down there for me. And I suppose the main question is, how long will Wayne Rooney be in charge of Plymouth Argyle? Not for very long, I don't think. I think Plymouth, again, will be looking towards the drop. I've got Plymouth Argyle in 23rd place. Next up then, we have Portsmouth. newly promoted. Really glad to see Pompey back in the Championship. Looking forward to watching them as well. And John Mousinho is a good gaffer. Portsmouth are on the up. And what's to say they're not going to do another Ipswich and climb maybe into the playoff spots. I've got them in 6th place. And now that could come back to bite me in the arse again. But I think Portsmouth will do well out of the newly promoted clubs. Next up then, Preston North End. And Preston, I've seen people saying Preston will get relegated. I don't think so. I think with Preston, again, it's a tricky one to put your finger on. They're a team who seem to be punching above their weight, and the bookies think that they seem to fail. But they get in mid-table. They get in the playoffs, or in and around the playoffs. I've got Preston in 20th though. Share your thoughts. Next up then, Queen's Park Rangers, and I certainly do like the manager at Queen's Park Rangers. I think QPR are on the up, and that's why I've got them in 14th place. A subtle improvement on last season. Share your thoughts, Queen's Park Rangers fans. I think you'll finish in 14th place. Okay, and next up is Sheffield Wednesday. Sheffield Wednesday, again, interesting. As I say, they will want to hit the ground running. They are, again, they had a poor season last season, but I think it's more optimistic at Wednesday this season. And I've got a feeling that Sheffield Wednesday will improve on last season. 13th place for Wednesday. Share your thoughts. Next up is Sheffield United. No, not Sheffield United. Next up is Stoke City. And Stoke City, they are a team who you look at their transfer business, you think they've done really well in the transfer window, but they almost seem to fail. And I've got them down there in 18th. And we can say the same with Swansea. You look at their transfer business, you think they're going to do really well, they fail. Stoke and Swansea are the teams who were in the Premier League back then, but underachieving the Championship. I've got them down there in 17th place. Share your thoughts. Next up then, we go to Sunderland. Sunderland are an interesting one again. Sunderland, they were almost on autopilot last season at the end. I think Sunderland will improve on last season. Last season was poor from Sunderland, but I think Sunderland will finish in 11th place this season. Share your thoughts, Sunderland fans. Next up, Watford. Watford, again, they're another team. Right, I said last season that if they didn't sack their manager before the end of the season, that I would jump out of my window. They sacked him in March. It was close. Watford are a club that sack managers. If Watford do not sack their manager by the end of the season, then I will get a tattoo of Tom Cleverley on my neck, because Tom Cleverley is the Watford manager, of course. Watford, though, 16th for me. Again, another team who seem to be falling. Quite a drastic drop-off from Watford. And obviously they have been in the Premier League and they've got that expectation and demand. Next up then, West Bromwich Albion. I've got West Brom again. in and around the playoffs. They've got to be up there. They were in the playoffs last season. Where have I got West Bromwich Albion this season then? Well, first of all, I must say I do like Carlos Corberán, their manager. I've got West Bromwich Albion in 9th place. But I would like to see Carlos Corberán get a promotion on his CV. Last but not least, Sheffield United. Now, we're talking about this because I've got the Championship table on my iPad, and we are going in alphabetical order down the table, and Sheffield United are bottom of the table because they have that 2-point deduction now. I do think Sheffield United will be the worst from them 3 clubs going down. I had an awful shout last season, and I said that Southampton will get relegated. Far from it, they got promoted in the playoffs. I'm not going to say Sheffield United get relegated, but I am going to say they finish in 15th place. Anyway, Sheffield United in 15th. Share your thoughts. Sheffield United obviously have got a points deduction. They have done some business, but I suppose they need to keep some of their players as well. It's tough. It'll be tough for Sheffield United. But they're a team who you can see they can go in any direction. Sheffield United. Anyway, thank you everyone for watching. I'll speak to you in the next one.